Yo, what is going on, guys? We're having a fantastic day today, so I want to go over some news for the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to talk about really free agency because free agency is really going to kind of dictate what the Eagles can do in this draft. As much as we can look at all these prospects, it comes down to what spots are the Eagles really looking at. Now, we look at the cap situation right now. They haven't done anything. We're looking at Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, if they're going to tag him, or they're going to have a long-term extension really soon. The Jalen Hurts contract that we'll definitely talk about in this video as well, and kind of what's going to be set on the market for QBs. But like I said, it's going to be crazy. I think this is going to be one of the wildest free agencies because I think there's going to be a lot of players available, a lot of teams unloading contracts and for players that either have had injuries or players that, that teams really can't afford because of the big cap numbers they're going to have. So let's get into all the news for the Philadelphia Eagles and free agency. Here we come.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
What is going on, guys? We're having a fantastic day. I hope you guys are enjoying your day because, free agency is right around the corner. A week from Monday, this past Monday, will be the starting of negotiations with players, which should be a lot of fun. And we'll be having live streams every day during the day on just hanging out, talking about the rumors and what's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles. But when it comes down to it, we obviously know the Jalen Hurts contract is definitely winging, to be, we don't know what it's going to be. We kind of wanted this contract to get done ASAP. Derek Carr just got his new contract. He's with the New Orleans Saints for 4 years, $150 million, and I think only 60 guaranteed. They spread out that money between, I think, like 3 years or something like that. So obviously it doesn't choke the cap situation for the Saints. And I think they're going to have somewhat of a similar deal for the Eagles when they sign Jalen Hurts. Not going to get us cap strapped, but they're going to spread out some money a little bit, make sure that we're not getting hit too much, and obviously give him more guarantees right up front is really going to help that contract kind of negotiate further down in those years, depending on what the length of the contract even is at the time. So we got to sign Jalen Hurts pretty soon. I'm hoping it happens before training camp. I'm hoping they get him signed before the draft. That's what I'm kind of really hoping that happens. But we'll see. We'll see. Derek Carr is the first quarterback that's been signed so far. We'll see where the market's going to go from there. And the rumors. We haven't heard any rumors about what Jalen Hurts wants from Jalen Hurts' agent. I mean, nothing. We haven't heard anything in that regard to Jalen Hurts. So hopefully something good. Now, a lot of people are asking me questions this morning about the big play Slay situation and the Matt Patricia thing that's going on. Now, the good thing about the Matt Patricia thing is that there hasn't been really anything official. Like there was some really third party, I would say mostly third party. Maybe some NFL writers heard some rumors about Matt Patricia being the new linebackers coach. A lot of Eagles fans are just not happy with this. At the end of the day, Slay did go on Twitter saying if this obviously happens, didn't say his quote unquote, but he pretty much said, I got to put things aside. My teammates need me. And that's the good attitude you're going to have. Like every time you bring a coach onto your organization, the coach, you can't ask any player that has had a past problem with that coach and be like, oh, well, you can't designate it from how a player feels about a coach of a past brewing or something like that. And even though it didn't really go well, now Matt Patricia might know his X's and O's, but when it comes down to being a player's coach, he hasn't really had good reputation in that. Matt Patricia calling Slay not elite when he was the head coach for the Lions. He was saying he wasn't elite, and then he was saying he was good. But I mean, he really treated, he didn't really treat him too well. And I understand that, but at the end of the day, we're grown men, and they need to put their stuff aside. If Matt Patricia is the new linebackers coach in Philadelphia, they just got to put their crap aside. That's just what it is. You guys need to grow up. I mean, you know what I mean? It's not like he's the corners coach, and I can understand a little bit more, but he's a linebacker coach. He's in a whole different thing. He's not calling the plays for this defense. He's not scheming up this defense, anything like that. But honestly, to me, I don't know. The move really there's really nobody else out there like Matt Patricia's the guy that you want in the building. I don't know where this came about and why they have so much interest in him, obviously for the X's and O's and what he could do for a positional job. I I still don't get it to this point. So then people start to figure out, oh, well, maybe the Eagles are trying to move on from Big Play Slay because the Eagles have not freed up any money. Besides the Kelsey restructure for $2.4 million, we haven't really seen, I almost lost breath. We haven't really seen, we haven't freed up any more money. So if you look at Slay's contract, now if you want to take this into account, okay, so you can't cut Slay. It's just not going to happen. You cut him, it's like $22 million. Pre-June, it's 22 in dead money. Post-June, it's $8 million. And honestly, going forward with that, you would want to try to extend him. If you extend him, you'll save a good amount of money. Okay, now if you trade him post June, you save about $17.5 million, which is a lot, but it's an $8 million dead cap, so it's really not that bad. I think they could eat that up pretty easily. You know what I mean? But I think the smart thing to do with Slay right now is to just extend him or restructure him and save the $13 million for the restructure. And like I said, if you trade him, you save about 17. You have to eat up 8, but really not that bad. But if it's really up to me or maybe of what I think is going to happen, I think they do keep Slay. I think they restructure him. I don't know if they really extend him. I don't know if that's the case, but extending him might not be the worst thing. At least extend him for another year just because you could save a little bit more cap. And if you draft a corner at 10, will be the future number 1. And obviously playing under Slay for 2 years would be pretty good. Playing with Slay for 2 years and learning from him and becoming a better player, which would be a really good thing to pair up a rookie this year with Big Play Slay. And I think down the line, it will really help a lot. So, like I said, I'm just giving out the numbers here of if they restructured or restructured and extended, they could save a good amount of money. They could save about 17.5 if they really want to trade him post June 1st with an $8 million dead cap hit. So, not that bad. The numbers aren't horrible. Saving 17 million, 17.5, 17.8 in between there is a pretty good number. But I don't think, if I could say 100%, obviously James Bradberry is walking. I think we all know that. And when it comes down to it, I think Slay's got to stay in the building. It's unfortunate. I know there's a lot of Eagles fans that, it could have been Gannon's scheme that made him play not as great. They didn't shadow him on the number 1 receiver. They kept him to one side. They were very careless with him, 8 to 10 yards off the ball. I didn't like the certain things and how they used him and how they didn't shadow him on the number 1 guy. Really, I think a perfect example of that was the Monday night game against the Vikings when he was shadowing Justin Jefferson. I thought that was great. It gives him something to do, and it keeps him focused throughout the game. If you just leave him at one side the whole entire game, I don't know. I just didn't like the way they used him with Gannon's system, and partially I think Slay there were times where he gave up some easy receptions as well. So I think it's a little bit of both. I don't think Slay's losing a step, but he's definitely getting older. I think he could play for another 2 years. I don't see why not. But like I said, getting another corner in here, your future number 1, and having him under Slay's wing would be probably the perfect formula to go. If you're looking at, getting younger. I think it's time for the Eagles to draft a corner very early because, I know I've been back and forth at a lot of positions, but corner seems to be very realistic because they haven't drafted a corner in the first round since Lito Shepherd. And at this point, you got to have a guy in the building for 4 to 5 years. They got to at least have a guy in the building, so you don't have to worry about that number 1 spot. But having Slay under, like I said, Slay, with him and helping him is going to make him a better player. And one of the best corners in the business is Slay, and get it done, So the Slay trade thing of him, us trading him, I don't think it's going to happen. The numbers, you save a lot of money with those numbers, but then you're down another corner, and then you really have to. If they trade Slay, they're definitely going corner at 10. You got nobody there, so you're going to have no choice. And then you look at the free agents. We've been hearing a lot of news. There's going to be a lot of free agents. Some guys are let go because of cap casualties. Some are let go because of past injuries, and there's a little bit of sacrifice where a guy having a past injury could help the Eagles because they won't be as expensive going forward. And obviously, Leonard Floyd from the Rams is definitely one, at the edge if they want to add another body to the edge. And Leonard Floyd, with the Rams, was with the Bears, drafted by the Bears. They saved about $15 million from this move. So obviously you can get a Leonard Floyd out there. Eric Kendricks was surprisingly released as well. You know what I mean? So Eric Kendricks, definitely another one available if you want to put him, line him up with N'Kobe Dean. It's always a possibility. We had Eric Kendricks. We had Michael Kendricks for a long time, and getting his brother wouldn't be a bad thing. And it's just these are just names I'm throwing out there. This isn't anything that I want or whatever. I'm just throwing names out there. Take this with a grain of salt. Just players that are starting to become available right now. Bud Dupree obviously can play outside linebacker to defensive end as well. And they let go. The Titans let go of Bud Dupree just because he's had past injuries. I think he was due like $16-17 million this year, and it just wasn't worth it at the end of the day for them to keep him. So the Titans had a lot of guys hurt, and that was one of them. So a lot to do there. The most intriguing one that I've kind of been looking at is we've been hearing news about Derrick Henry. It looks like Derrick Henry is on the trade block right now. Now, look, I said this about A.J. Brown last year. When I put up the video about A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts working out, that picture they showed them working out before the trade even went down, people were pissed. People were pissed I was even talking about it. Okay, so anything could happen, guys. When players become available. Now, Derrick Henry, he's just a different type of running back because the Titans have built their team very differently. They've been building around Derrick Henry and the offense, and I think they're really they're dumping a lot of contracts now. They need to get a quarterback. They need to do things differently. But Derrick Henry is just a different monster. And really, since the past 3 seasons, besides 2020, where he had over 2,000 yards, he really hasn't been really too much of a wear and tear, really. He hasn't been, you'd think, because of what, sometimes these running backs don't last that long. He's 29 years old, and you're going to have to trade for him. And, there's going to be a lot of bids for him. I could definitely see the Buffalo Bills trying to get him, which would probably make him more of a Super Bowl contender going forward. There's going to be a lot of teams that are going to want Derrick Henry. And just imagine if you had Derrick Henry behind this offensive line, he's rushing for 2,000 yards, easy. It's crazy. I would say 1,700 to 2,000 yards he would probably get if the Eagles used him the right way. Okay, north and south runner, just a pummeling bulldozer of absolutely love this guy, and I just think he's just been in a bad situation. The offensive line wasn't good last year, a lot of injuries. It was just a total mess, and to put him in a really good spot right now, and what you would have to give up for Derrick Henry, I don't know. As much as I would give up picks, maybe it would be a 3rd-round pick for Derrick Henry if I really wanted, or it'd be like 5th and 6th-round picks and maybe a player or something like that. That's the only thing I would really give up. I'm not trying to give up a one. I'm just not doing it. And like I said, he's 29 years old, and it's not like Derrick Henry has lost a step because of his age. Derrick Henry's still a really good player, and just imagine if the Eagles are like, let's try to make a trade for a running back. And I've always talked about DeAndre Swift if he could stay healthy, Dalvin Cook I've always talked about, and then now Derrick Henry news is coming out now where teams are going to give up more focus on, this is a good running back class, instead of doing what the Dallas Cowboys did, and they're tagging Pollard, and Zeke's on a $16 million cap hit, and you have a good running back class in this draft. I don't want to be in that situation where you have to tag running backs and re-sign running backs. At least if you draft one, you can have a guy in the building for 5 years if you really want. But the other flip of the coin is if you trade, say you give up a 3rd-round pick and a couple late rounders for Derrick Henry, you get him on the team. He's here for whatever left on his contract, whatever they want to work out with him for a couple years, and you're able to really draft more defense this year when you have 10 free agents, 11 free agents on your defense leaving this team unrestricted, and most of them are pretty much going to be gone, and you really need as many of these draft picks as possible. If you can keep both of your 2 first-rounders and your 2nd-rounder intact, yeah, you could make some noise with it. And like I said, this isn't my favorite thing to do, but I would always dream of Derrick Henry running behind this offensive line and how deadly it would be. And trust me, with the only change of Samalo walking, with Cam Jurgens coming in at right guard, and Kelsey most likely staying and not retiring this year, it would be almost unfair. Derrick Henry would get, I just imagine Derrick Henry having no contact for like 2-3 yards and then just doing damage upfield. I mean, I can't even imagine what could really happen. So, you have a lot of guys that are available going forward. Like I said, the running back position, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like the smartest thing to do is if the Eagles have that much interest in running backs, since Miles Sanders is definitely going to get paid somewhere else, you're definitely going to go into this draft and try to get somebody early if that's what they really want to do. I'm speaking for the fact that if this is an eye-opener for the Eagles, like let's go all in, try to get Derrick Henry and get this offense like monstrous where they could, score 35 to over 40 points a game, take advantage of the NFC because really, there's no Tom Brady. There's no Aaron Rodgers as of right now. I mean, whatever the hell he's doing, and that's the least of my worries with a pretty bad Green Bay team right now. There's really nothing else out there right now in the NFC. So the Eagles got to take advantage of the conference situation as well as their own situation. They grab Derrick Henry, they grab a Bijan Robinson, they grab a Gibbs. It's going to make this team a lot more dangerous. And obviously getting Henry would just be a luxury to have in your backfield. This way you can literally concentrate in the draft, get those defensive players that you really need because, like I said, 11 free agents, it's a lot of guys. A lot of guys leaving. But as the days go on until next week, we're going to find out that there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be releasing and dumping contracts and, stuff like that. So you need pretty much everywhere defensively. I mean, everywhere. Besides, you need somebody to pair up with Nakobe Dean. You need another corner besides Slay. You need to add some safeties. Like the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson thing kind of scares me a little bit because they got to tag him. If they don't tag him, there's no long-term extension. They're going to lose him in the market. And it's going to be scary because the Eagles have been looking at a lot of safeties. And I feel like, I'm hoping something happens with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, but it's, time is ticking right now. We haven't even heard a rumor yet of anything even happening, so it kind of gets me worried a little bit. They let Chauncey walk, man. That's going to really suck. It's going to be a bad day. That's all I got to say. A really, really bad day. So other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. We've talked about a few free agents. Some names have popped out. Like I said, take them with a grain of salt. Just because I've talked about them doesn't mean I want them. It's just they're out there, and see what Howie could do with the money he's got. I mean, the Eagles only have like $8 to $9 million in cap space under the cap. I mean, that's really it. The Eagles barely have anything to do anything with. I'm looking for a restructure with Slay. I'm looking for another restructure with Lane Johnson. We'll free up about $32 million. You'll have $32 million in general altogether, which is great. And see what they do with some other guys as well. So it's gonna be an interesting free agency, but like I said, we can talk about these draft prospects as much as possible, okay? But this free agency every free agency every year always designates where your team is going. It doesn't obviously give you the straight answer of what's going to happen, but, if the Eagles go in free agency and they get a running back, just say they get a running back or they trade for one, then you know that they're not getting a running back in the draft. At least you'll have a couple answers. You'll at least this will help us kind of determine that they're not going after certain positions, unless it's for depth later in the draft. And obviously you have the undrafted free agents after the draft. They pick where they want to go. The Eagles can pay them whatever they want and who they bring in to kind of compete with the other guys on the back end of our roster. So there's a lot of good things to take from it. I'm excited for free agency. We're going to talk about this every single day of the interest level that they're going to have, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to go through it with all of you guys. So if you guys have lasted throughout this whole entire video, I do appreciate it so much. Make sure you like the video, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day because this train does not stop. It keeps going like crazy. So you guys enjoy yourselves. We'll see you on the next one. Shakes, what up? Follow slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.